The Sudanese Doctors Network has strongly condemned what it calls the use of mass rape perpetrated by the Rapid Support Forces against women fleeing el-Fasher. In a statement, the network says it has documented 19 cases. It comes a day after officials in Sudan's South Kordofan state reported that the RSF killed 114 people in a drone attack on a kindergarten. Sudan's more than two-year-long civil war between its army and the RSF paramilitary group has caused what the UN describes as the world's largest humanitarian crisis. Well, Dr. Mohammed Elsheikh joins us now. You're a spokesperson doctor for Sudan Doctors Network. You're in Manchester. I'll just preface this by saying it is so difficult to get accurate information on what's happening in Sudan in real time, both because of communication blackouts, but also because some areas, especially those under RSF control, are unreachable. But your organization tries to collect that data and to give us the information. Tell us what you have found about what happened in el-Fasher.
Thank you for having me again. Day by day, we get reports from the ground that showing how horrible the atrocities these civilians are facing from the Rapid Support Forces and their allies in the ground. As you mentioned in your report, so far we have reported 19 ladies that have been raped on their way out of when they were escaping out of el-Fasher city. So these reports coming from Al-Afad internal refugee camp in the northern state of the country. Also, we reported previously, weeks ago, tens of ladies that have been confirmed raped as well. They have landed safely into Tawila camp as well. So day by day, we see horrible atrocities that are committed towards the civilians from the RSF and its allies. Yesterday, there is a heartbreaking incident where RSF and its ally from the Sudan People Liberation Movement, Al-Hilo Division, their drone strike a kindergarten in Kalugi town in South Kordofan state. This has resulted in tens of kids, unfortunately, died immediately because of that attack. And as the paramedics and the parents of the kids were gathering into the area, then they had a second drone strike as well. So this has resulted in a death toll, as we're talking now, that exceeding 80 people that passed away from that incident. And we have a lot of people who are injured, from this incident as well. The communication with our teams in the ground is extremely difficult. Obviously, as you mentioned in your report, the communications are very interrupted. I would say we are lagging behind by 12 to 24 hours from the dynamics at the ground. So whatever we see or whatever we report, these are incidents happen a day or two before we kind of make a press release about it in Sudan Doctors Network.
Doctor, a quick question, if you don't mind, on how you gather that information. We'll talk about South Kordofan a little bit more in a moment. I want to stick to what you're finding on el-Fasher and the rape of dozens, you have said, of women who were raped fleeing el-Fasher. This information is coming from the victims themselves?
Yes, yeah. So these victims are actually reported to our teams in the ground. So basically, there is a bit of a stigma if you, as our Middle Eastern culture and Islamic culture and Arab cultures. So unfortunately, rape women, they kind of, because of the community, they look at it as a stigma. So most of the rape women, they tend to not to disclose these informations. But because there are so many psychological and mental health support services that are provided to these people who had this lengthy escape journey from el-Fasher into these internally displaced refugee camps. So then after that, then we started to have multiple ladies coming out and reporting the incidents that happened to them. And then the next step will be the medical checks and the medical confirmation process as well. So the 19 confirmed rape cases that reported in Al-Afad, now we have 2 ladies are pregnant at the moment. And in Tawila, we had also around 23 that reported. And unfortunately, the age of these rape victims varies from 15 years to 23 years. And these are all in the birth age, like a productive, child age bearing, So these are the things. These are confirmed at the moment.
And are you finding that it is certain groups that are being targeted? or are rapes now systematic for women who have tried to leave el-Fasher?
So obviously, we are always we always known that. For everyone who knows the background of the conflict in Darfur, we know that the RSF soldiers, they tend to be very non-humane towards people who are not from the community, tribal community or tribal components. So yes, I would say there is some sort of an ethnic, like kind of selective towards victims for those people who are, or for these ladies who are being raped. Yeah.
And
but we're still kind of investigating that. But yes.
Going back to South Kordofan, so this happened yesterday, and there were drone attacks by the RSF paramilitary on a kindergarten. I don't know if you have any insight into this, but why would any armed group choose to attack a kindergarten?
I mean, we're still trying to find that. It's really difficult to convince ourselves. I'm still trying to find an answer for that myself. But to be honest, looking at the pattern of RSF behavior while committing the atrocities towards the civilian, this is something, unfortunately, we really need to look into it. Why is that happening? We have seen similar incidents that happened in el-Fasher as well. We remember the incident when there are artillery shelling, and then there is a drone airstrike to an internally displaced area called Dar al-Arqam in el-Fasher University, and for which we lost tens of internally displaced people who were coming from Zamzam camp. Among them were kids as well. We have seen RSF targeting the hospitals and the clinics. So this is something we really need to know why is that happening. We have seen RSF soldiers, they're actually invading Saudi hospital, and then they're killing the inpatients and the visitors to the hospital with a very cold blood. And more than that, ironically, they do record that, and then they publish it into the social media platforms, priding, I'm very proud of committing these atrocities. So it is something that really we need. I'm speechless. I can't talk on their behalf why they're doing that, but it is confirmed. So I see no reason why drone striking a kindergarten, and then on top of that, it's not only one attack, it's actually two attacks. So this is something very indicative that this is a systematic, it's not like a side effect of the war or like collateral damage or any of that. No, this is a systematic targeting to an area in a South Kordofan that filled with the kids. And then when the paramedics and the parents of those kids gather into the area, you airstrike them again. So this is something, it is targeted. It's not like something, a coincidence.
Do you have a sense outside of this one incident? An incident does not feel like the right word. It's a massacre and dozens of children were killed. Outside of that event, do you have a broader picture of what is happening in the Kordofan region more generally? Because it's very difficult, as we said at the top, to get that information.
It is, yeah. So what's happening in South Kordofan, to be honest, and I'm saying that in a very sad tone and with a broken heart, the pattern of these atrocities that happen in South Kordofan, it kind of brings to our mind what happened in el-Fasher. You probably remember el-Fasher was under massive siege from these RSF forces for like 18 months. People of el-Fasher were struggling silently and they were dying silently. So the same pattern that we see now in South Kordofan, in cities of South Kordofan, there is a massive siege in the main cities of South Kordofan, and there's no food allowed, there is no medicines allowed. Within the last months, we lost 23 kids because of the severe malnutrition, because there's no food, there's no medical service whatsoever. So, and then in between these kind of siege, every now and then, we do have this kind of like a heavy drone strikes and, artillery shelling to the areas where filled by civilians. We keep losing civilians day by day, every day, in front of the world. People in South Kordofan now, they are struggling silently, pretty much similar to the people of North Darfur. So this is something, we really need to, something needs to be done. We don't want to see the same tragedy that happened in North Darfur. And we see, honestly, we don't want it to happen again in South Kordofan. Yeah. We lost thousands of people. And this is the thing that brings me to the point that what happens in this war specifically is not a civil war. is that we do have a paramilitary group that's sponsored and heavily supported by countries in the region, with some mercenaries from different parts of Africa and Latin America. They're coming and committing these atrocities towards the civilians in Sudan, in North Darfur and in South Kordofan. So, I mean, the definition of a civil war doesn't apply here.
Dr. Mohammed Elsheikh, you're a spokesperson for Sudan Doctors Network. We really appreciate your time. Thank you for coming on Al Jazeera today.
Don't miss out on the full picture. Subscribe to Al Jazeera for reliable news and expert insights. Like, share, stay ahead.